always, if you don't want to be on screen, turn your camera off. And we'll start off with show and tell. Anybody have any show and tell they want to share this morning?
Yeah, Belinda, you might have to do the co-hosting if they're going to screen share, but otherwise you're set for screen sharing.
Okay, good. No, they're gonna hold up a piece and I'm gonna highlight them when I'm ready or when they're ready. Ah, I see a hand. I'm coming over there. All right, there you go, Shireen.
Ooh.
Wow. Oh, look at you, girl.
That's beautiful.
Oh, and do you like it?
Gosh.
I do. And here's the pendant that's gonna.
Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
I'm addicted to this beading. I like it.
Yay.
I'm starting a bracelet to match.
Oh, good for you. Earrings would be nice too.
Yeah.
Well, this is as far as I got.
Okay, let me highlight you, Carol.
I was going to say there.
Oh,
But
good.
I finally figured it out.
It's one of those, when it clicks, but until it clicks.
Finally, it just, it was like, oh my God, it's so simple. But I haven't had time with him being here, and it was whatever day it was the other day, and I had to be at school all day. What was it? Oh, Global Friendship Day. So
Ooh, sounds
all
like
the
fun.
parents had to be at school all day with their kids.
And Janice, you have something? Let me spotlight you. Look at you, girl.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's beautiful. How many colors is that?
Ooh.
You like that, huh?
It's two colors. Or, we didn't hear you. Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, Janice.
Okay. It's two colors.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful.
And you
I made
finished
a
it already.
bracelet and I'm making another neck piece.
Oh, nice.
This is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun.
So glad. Sometimes I feel like I'm torturing you guys when I come up with a project. So when you say it's fun, it does my heart good. I'm not into torture, believe it or not. So Jane, do I dare ask you, did I torture you? You're muted.
Yeah, no, again, I can't do this on Zoom, so.
Okay, well, we'll do it together when we get together. So, good. Okay, Miriam, I've got you going on big so we can see yours.
Well, I too had trouble kind of getting it. And so I, during the week, looked at the videos and looked at them again, and I finally got it. So it's not real long, but it's a good start.
Is that silver and lavender? Are those two?
It's lavender, and it's a funny bead that when you look at it one way, it looks clear. And when you look at it another way, it looks silvery.
Oh, nice.
And then my pendant, I keep vacillating between tearing it all out because I can't get the tension to remain on some of these strings. So I obviously didn't tie it tight enough. And I think my coils are a little bit too close. And so sometimes the threads jump out of the little cracks in between.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure if I want to keep it. But I do like the 3, and I like the woven look. It's really pleasing.
And it goes so nice with the chain you're developing. It really looks pretty. Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I happen to have the right colors.
My thought on the coils
you.
was, if I got a section that turned out really good and I wasn't going back into those coils anymore, I took a little piece, a toothpick and some super glue, and I dotted it so they would all stay.
Whatever
But
works.
it's, like I say, it dawned on me after I did that the first time, you've got to go back into these coils. So you have to wait till the coils are finished a section.
Nice job, though. Nice job, Marian.
Beautiful.
Anybody else?
Let them coordinate it. I didn't do that.
Yeah, well, some people are very good at design, you know, so they've done a really nice job. Not that you're not, but
No, they think it out first and I look at it and go, I got enough of this. Let's work with that one.
and that's usually where I get stymied when I'm starting a project. It's like I want it all to go together and I never, ever have all the supplies I need. So if I have it for one thing, I don't have it for another in the color. So life is tough out there. What can I tell you? Any others that we want to share? Okay, so it looks like we're kind of at some of us are ready for the ending and some of us are not. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, let me spotlight myself so that when I change cameras, I'm big. I'm going to show you how to do the ending. And then the last class, when we complete any unfinished projects, we'll come back and do it again. So, oh, Diane's saying she can't hear anyone. Is anybody else having trouble hearing?
Mm-mm.
No.
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 Okay. All right. So Diane, the best, well, I guess she can't hear me. I was going to say the best I think we can do is let me type in and say everybody else is having, not having a problem. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do the end and then we'll revisit the end again. And then we'll go ahead and start the spiral project. Oops. This particular one. So we'll get started on this. So let me go over to my other camera. Hopefully it will work. Last week we were so good. So, oh good, it's not frozen today. So we're going to make these end caps. Now we made others a couple sessions ago, but this one, we're just going to go ahead and show you how I made this. Here I've got a longer rosary wrap, just because, and here it's shorter. So I'm just going to show you the technique. I'll walk you through one and then we'll go on to the next project. So Carol made a really good suggestion last week. She said she had read someplace where I usually start, let me pull it up. I usually start with this and then it's got a little coiled cap that sits on top. And then this wire goes through so that I can connect my finding to it. And she said she'd seen someplace where the person started with the cap, and I tried that. And I think it's probably better and easier technique than what I was doing. So what I did, first of all, you've got to find a mandrel that is approximately or close enough to the size of your finished cord, because that cap has got to slide down on this cord. So first, when I started this one, and of course I made the others months ago so I could have samples for you, left this end unfinished and didn't write down what mandrel I used, which is typical of me. So now I've got to figure out what mandrel this will work on. And I thought, well, that was pretty stupid that I didn't write it down, but it's good enough because I can show you the process I went through. So I use my bell making pliers because these are my best friend, because they give me 6 different options in size. If you don't have a pair of these, you can use your round nose pliers. You can use a knitting needle. You can use anything it takes to get that round shape. But with these, what I did is I looked at the end and sort of guessed, where do I think it'll fit? And my guess was this one right here, which is the middle one, basically. So I started with that one. And as I'll show you in just a minute, when I got ready to sample it out, I needed to tighten it up down here. But this was the process I did. So I took I work off the spool because just like today's project, we don't know how much it's going to take. And I wanted to not be short on wire. So I started and made a little spiral, just like we will do today. How to focus, there we are, better. And the trick is to make it big enough to go over the cord that you're putting it on. So I had it, got it sort of the size I wanted, and just held it up there and said, yep, that should work. Then I put my wire, so I bent it up and I just set it aside and put my wire on my mandrel. So I started out, like I said, with this bigger one. And when I went around twice, I said, let's try it instead of making one that won't fit. And what I found is it was just a little too loosey-goosey. So I went back, undid it, and tightened it up on the next size mandrel down. And what you want to, I want to show you the tightness. You don't want it so that it's breaking your beads. But you do want to make sure that it sets snugly on your beads. So sometimes it takes a little manipulating to get those beads up in there. And get the fingers working today. And that's what I want. I want it snug. And I get it tight enough, snug enough that you don't have a lot of extra room, but not so snug it's going to break my beads. So I've got
for the end of your beaded necklace, did you go back to the untwisted pattern, or did you just leave it twisted?
Yeah, I went back a few untwisted.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we should finish it off untwisted then.
Right. I
Okay.
would. You know, I don't know that it makes that much difference, but it just makes it easier to get it up in here. So in fact, probably as I'm futzing with this, you notice I put the ending string or fire line through here, and mine are still wanting to sort of flay out a little bit. So I think what I need to do is go around this a few times and snug that up. Remember when we started out, we snugged it up really tightly. So I would go back, I think, before I try to set it on here, and snug it up. And then just put it back on your mandrel. And so I had to go to that smaller mandrel and just make it as many wraps as you need. And because I've already got one side down, I would count and make it the same size. So when you get that done, probably an important piece of information I should have mentioned. What we're going to do is be sticking a piece of wire through that hole right there. So when you're doing these spirals, depending on the look you want, you usually are going to make that a really tight little hole. And tight is good because you don't want it seeing your end, but you do want to make sure your wire can still go through that. So my hole here is plenty big enough. This is a heavier gauge wire that I'm going to use, but try it out before you go too far along the way and then find out you did such a nice job getting a tight spiral that you can't get that wire through there. So once you've made this, then you're going to take a piece of wire, and I used only because I think it is heavy, heavier is better, but I used a 20. You could use a 22 and you could use an 18, and I'm going to cut off my spool so that I can show you when I'm talking.
What gauge is the other one that you just made? That
20.
one. That's 20?
Yeah, but
So
you
they're
could
both
do
20?
18.
Okay.
This is 20. You could do
Okay.
18. It's what look you want. I just felt this one was pretty delicate looking compared to this one. This is 18 to sort of show you the difference. So can you see the difference in thickness? The silver is 18. This is 20. And if you haven't done a lot of wire work, the 20 is going to be easier to work with. Then you're going to take, and again, I'm going to do it off the spool, and you're going to take either your round nose pliers or your chain nose pliers, and you're going to make a little P loop. And I do mean little. So the trick here is it's going to be big enough that you can do what we need to do in the next step, but tight enough that it's not going to impede your cap. So once I have this, I want to stick it down through my, let me open it up a little bit so I can do it. I'm going to open it like we do a P-loop or a jump ring. I'm going to stick it down in there. Now, if I tighten this up better, it'd be easier. And just grab a wire or two. So I think you can see if I take these wires here. I just want it to set in there attached to a wire. And then, let me cut off this wire so I can do it. Now, this is important. Please don't think I'm talking to you like you're stupid, but ask me how I know this is important. This would be all tightened up on mine. It's caught on the wire, which it should, or on the fire line, which it should be. At this point, I'm going to slide my cap down. Now, sometimes when I'm not paying attention, I will go ahead and close it up and then go, I can't get my cap on. So I would go ahead, bend my little spiral down over the top, slide my cap on, slide it all in there, and then go ahead and finish it in a rosary wrap. And you will see on Pinterest or any of the bead sites that some people just use a P-loop here. Remember, I'm like double secure, so I used a rosary wrap. And on mine, I usually will go ahead and put some kind of a bead just because I like the look. And if my circle is too big that wire went through, it hides it. So put a bead on here, go ahead and make your rosary wrap. And then if you want, actually, before you make the rosary wrap at this point, you could, you don't have to because that's going to secure it, but you could put a little bit of E6000 glue in there. And then when you slide it up in there, it's never coming off. So that would be the process to go ahead and complete that. And we'll do that together for those of you that haven't finished your cord yet, your rope. We'll do that together on the last week, but that sort of gives you a preview of where we're going to go with it. Likewise, a couple of you asked me about the projects for next session. I don't have them all done, but the one I do have done that Marilyn has been asking, could we do it for like as long as we've been on Zoom? And I've been putting her off saying we can't do it until we're together, is this that's made with a piece of you can use copper or you can use aluminum or you could use brass, and then it's just soldering and a rubber stamp. So what you might want to be looking for as we're preparing for the supplies is a rubber stamp that is not a terribly expensive one. It's everything I found says only use the red rubber stamps. I've used just about any one I've had. I have not had a problem with it, but if you paid $50 for a rubber stamp, let's not test it on that. So this is just regular solder. I heated my solder up, got it flowing with a soldering gun, but two of you actually this week asked me, could we use a torch? And because I'd not used the torch, I said, I think it's too hot. But I did some research yesterday and found a torch would work fine. So if you're used to working with a torch, what you'll just do is get it, and I did it in two different steps, got my solder flowing and just took the stamp and stamped down on it. And then went over here and did this one and just stamped down on it. And then you just let it cool. And it makes,
That's beautiful.
it does make a nice design on it. You know, the two metals. I've seen where they've done it with aluminum. I don't think it would be as pretty with both silver and the silver solder.
No, you need the contrast.
But brass might be nice. And so I'm thinking the sample that I'm going to do for class is I'm going to use brass, and I think I'm going to do a pair of earrings with a little different look, but that doesn't mean that's what you have to do, because the technique will be this. Whatever form you choose to put it on will be up to you. So questions on this? Did I answer the questions you had? Okay, so let me sort of clear off my mess here, which is probably impossible for me, and pull this over, show you what we're going to do, and then I'll go back over to my PowerPoint presentation. So we're going to make this today, and this is one of those projects that is easier than it looks. So it really is going to go together fast. We're going to use either.
You always say that. It's easier than it looks. That does. Yeah,
It is.
I'll go.
This is on this one, I used 18 gauge and 20 gauge. So 18 is the center and 20 is the coils. I think you could do just about any gauge you wanted. I don't think I would go lighter than 20 unless, notice the unless, I made this much smaller. So if you want just a tiny little pendant, I was watching some YouTube video about what's in 23 and what's out, and how to get rid of your, not like I'm a fashion statement, but how to get rid of your clothes that are no longer in. And this woman was going on and on about statement pieces and big chunky pieces of jewelry are totally out. They date you and make you look old. Lord knows I don't want to look any older than I already do. But what she was suggesting is we are to wear tiny, tiny little pendants, and lots of them. And it's a look I like. So that's would not be out of the realm for me to think about doing. But in that case, if I would make this smaller, and I would use a smaller gauge. So I might go to a 22 gauge and maybe even a 24 on the outside. The trick that you're going to have is when it gets much smaller and more delicate, these beads are going to have to be smaller. Otherwise, even with this size, and I wore this a lot the month I was gone on vacation, and my beads want to bend if I'm not careful. So I'm going to make out of brass one out of 16 gauge. So just to show you if we need to demonstrate that today. So let me go over and share my screen, and we'll pull up my PowerPoint. Let's see. Maybe. Oh, I have to change cameras to do that. No wonder it wasn't changing for me. You know, the technology is stretching my brain.
But you do it so well.
Yeah, right.
Let me tell you some other stories.
I don't know. Okay. Can you, is that, I'm still on screen, right? So for you, this is not.
You're showing up in the small gallery.
Oh, but you are seeing a full screen of my PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Sort of.
On top of, it's kind of maybe you have to choose.
Like,
Yeah, let me go
full
back in
screen.
You
here.
can share again. Yeah. Yeah, then you
There.
don't get all the other stuff.
There you go.
There it is.
Okay, there we go. All right, so this is what we're going to make. And the first thing we're going to do is, just like I did on my bead cap, we're going to make a coil here. So I'm going to encourage you to work off your spool so that you don't cut it too short or waste wire. And the center of that coil can be just as small or as large as you like. This is not going to be a this is going to be a design decision on your part. It's not going to be, it has to be this size, where the last piece I just showed you, where it was the bead cap, it had to be big enough to accommodate the wire. So go ahead and make yourself the center. And then you're going to just go ahead and coil it around until you get it the size you want. So on mine, I've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5 on each side of the center. And that was that ended up making, what did we do? We measured it before, but I'm not gonna trust my memory. I think that mine is 3/4 of an inch in diameter. So from here to here. So just go ahead and make that the size you want. If you want it smaller, fine. If you want it larger, fine. It's up to you.
Did you use a bail making pliers or did you use just a needle nose plier?
I think I used my needle nose, but you could use your bail making, you could use your round nose. I know I didn't use my bail making because the hole on mine is too small to fit even the smallest part of my bail makers in there. But if you want a larger hole in the center, it's, it's your choice. So I'll give you a minute to do that. Let me know when you're ready to move to the next step. While you're working, I'm starting one out of brass in the 16 gauge, if I can get my spool open.
I'm doing 16 also, and it's quite a challenge.
It's
bend
tough.
it.
Well, 16 gauge wire is always a challenge to work with,
Yeah.
I thought I'd even go with 14, but I thought, well, let's do 16 first.
Well, I only have 16 and 18, so I'm gonna see what happens.
It does take some work. Now, if you are used to using a torch, if you annealed the wire, it would cooperate more with you. But like I keep saying, I don't think we want to torch it at home in front of our computer. I would probably burn my house down trying to show you guys what to do. I do like the look of the thickness of the 16 gauge though. Remember to keep that coil pretty tight because you don't want to see a lot of empty space in there.
When you start putting the stretched out coil around the outside,
Mhm.
there's wire that, you know, to hook it, or there seems to be, what am I trying to say? Are you weaving wire through this spiral to hook on the beads?
Yeah, actually,
Oh.
we're weaving wire through the spiral to hook on the coil we're gonna make. And then
Okay,
we're going
so,
to use another wire to put the beads on.
okay, because my spiral is getting really tight, so I was,
You don't need,
Maybe-
you'll put, well, maybe 12, but you know, you can use for that that part, you can use 24 gauge. You could even use 26 gauge.
okay.
Are you weaving only through the middle or through the individual coils?
Eventually, we're gonna do both. Okay. Are we ready to go to the next step? It sounds like that. So once you have this, make a 90-degree bend and give yourself, you know, a good 1.5 to 2 inches. That's going to be your bail. And you need at least an inch, but depending on what you want to put it around. So I used mine on a jump ring. If you wanted to put yours, let's say on the spiral beading necklace that you're making, then you need a bigger piece. So give yourself, you know, room to make that decision later. And then go ahead, and if you like the look, hammer it. So put it on your block and hammer it. And we're going to hammer it here.
Shit.
Because at this stage, because once we start to attach everything else, remember, we never hammer when we have 2 wires touching, and we'll break our wire. So this, if you like the hammered look, this is the time to hammer it. So
Okay, then we do cut it enough to give it a bail.
yeah, give yourself
Okay,
enough. So I just cut mine off, and I just left myself about 2.5 inches here so that I can make a decision later on. So that's my 16 gauge for those of you that need to see it. So once you have this, then we're going to go ahead and make this coil. Now this coil is not, I think what Jane said, when we pull out our coil, I suppose you could make it the same way, excuse me, that we made the others and pulled it out, but that's not the way I did it. So I'll show you the way I did it, which I think was a little easier than pulling it out and getting it, and trying to get it even. Excuse me. So it's going to end up looking like this, but it's going to like this coil basically, and it's going to be long enough to go around the spiral you just made. So I do use my bail making pliers, and I like the look of the second from the smallest. But again, it's your decision. I'm using 20 gauge here, and again, it's your decision. And on mine, I think I'm going to use 18 gauge on the one that's going with the 16 gauge. Give yourself a small little tail, at least 1/4 inch. You'll bend that up, you'll wrap it when you get done, but you need just a little bit there. And let me take you through the next couple slides so I can show you what you're eventually going to be doing, because I know sometimes if you see the whole process, it makes more sense to you. So you're going to be making this coil, and the key is, and my slide later I think says it, but I'm going to say it again, is you want them in the same direction. So if you can see my cursor, this is coming under, and now it's coming over. The next time it'll do the same thing and come around. I want this to be on the same side so that when I put it here, it's on the bottom each time, and these are all laying in the same direction. So to show you what I'm talking about, just sort of tracing it with my cursor, I came around here, went down here, comes around in the back, under, in the back, over, in the back, over, in the back, over, and they're all in the same direction. If you flip it at some point, you won't get the same look. I don't think that's a horrible thing, but if you're going after the same look, you want to go in the same direction. So I left myself approximately 1/4 inch tail. Here's just another view. And I move my bail making pliers so that it's touching that last circle. And then I'm going to come around and come over the top. Since this is coming over the top, I want it to come around and over. I don't want to flip and come this way now. Otherwise, they won't be on the same side. So here we are with the second one. I will remove it off my bail making pliers and set my pliers right here and continue until I get this as long as I need to go around my spiral. Now, you might have to, I would recommend do one loop longer than you think you need. And we can always cut it off later. But if you're too short, then you're going to have to stretch it out, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But notice mine are just barely touching each other so that it gives it that look. Now, because some of you are so fast, and I got the sense you're moving on to that, let me just show you the next, how we attach it, and then I'll go back. So when we're ready to attach it, you can use your 24 gauge, your 26 gauge. Just put a couple loose coils around here so that it secures it. Later on, we can take those off and tighten them up or get rid of them altogether, but we need to have a way to secure it, and we need a little bit of a tail to hold on to. And then we're just going to come through our loose coil we just made, come down through the center, back up, and just keep going around until we attach it all the way around. And when we get all the way around, it will look like this. So here it is from the front when I finished. So I started, actually I've got this reversed, but I started then what I've been showing you before, started here, attached it. When I came around here, here's my end, and there was an end over here. You can see the back side a little better. And then here are the ends. So here was the end I started with. I trimmed it so that it fit nice and neat and set right snug up against that. And here was the end that I ended with. And it just, so you can't really see it when you flip it over. Okay, so let me go back. And I don't know how far back I need, probably there.
I don't. Could you do? Oh, I'm not muted. Could you do a coil if you wanted to? Because this is not.
Try it. Try it.
It's not going in my brain right.
Try it.
Okay.
I think it will work. My only hesitation would be that I think it's harder than to get it
To
nice
get them the same size, yeah.
Yeah, but try it. It's not, the worst that happens is you say, no, that didn't work. And Lord knows I've done that before. Jane, would it help you if I went back over to the other camera?
No. This is, it's, again, I have to, it's not, it does not compute.
Okay.
I need to show you what I'm doing and why, and you tell me why it's not working right, so. So
We can do
this
that.
is, no, I don't want to interrupt everybody. This is, the coil is working.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
good. That's good to know.
I know how to do this. I don't know how to do the other.
Well, it's good to know it works.
Now, can you, well, because I'm sort of thinking about just putting the coils at the bottom because my circle is not really much of a circle. It's more of a rounded triangle.
Yeah,
And so I think that can you see? Well, so the drops would look better just from the bottom.
you do what you do, you.
Okay,
Whatever works for you, because you'll,
okay.
it sounds to me like you'll come up with a really pretty piece. So while you're making your coil, next week, we're going to do all the different links, and we'll probably pick 3 or 4 different ones, and I'll show you how to do them and then let you do them. My piece that I used a variety of the different links. And I used different gauge wires. So when you're pulling out your supplies, if you've got scrap wire around in different gauges, that would be good to use.
Ooh.
You might also want to pull out a few beads that go along with either the beads that you used on your pendant or that you're going to use today, or beads that you like to make the link, because these links you can use on any, you don't have to use it on this particular project if you want to do it on something else. I'm liking my 18 gauge coils better than I did on my 20 gauge. I'm liking the look, not when I hold it up to my spiral.
Belinda,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I was so concentrating on this spiral for the loopy loop that goes around. That's a 20 gauge? Is that one?
That's what I used on my sample that I'm showing you, but right now I'm working with 18 gauge, and I'm liking the look, but it shows up more, but the 20 gauge is fine. You could, if you were making a smaller loop, you could even use 22 if your spiral was lighter gauge. So it's up to the look you like, Miriam.
You know, Belinda, the spiral is tight in the middle, but as it goes around the edge, it's a little looser. Is that a problem?
If you can tighten it up by, sometimes just manipulating with your fingers, so just holding it and tightening it up, that would be fine. Oops.
Okay. And then the thing that holds it on, that's the 26 gauge.
Okay, yeah, I muted myself, yes. Why is it every time I teach a class, I get junk phone calls in the middle of it? What, is that a law of the universe or what? Remember to make your coils just a little bit longer than you think you need. I'm continually picking mine up and seeing if it fits. How's it going, Jane, with yours, pulling yours out?
No, it doesn't. With 16 gauge, it doesn't work. It doesn't pull very well. So I'm trying the way you, and I don't get it.
Are you doing your coils out of 16 gauge?
Yeah, because that's all I have.
Oh,
I've either got 16 or 22, so.
okay. I'm gonna turn off my sharing for a minute, and I'm gonna go back.
That's the thing. I don't know how you have to take your bail thing out of the loop and make the new loop, but I don't know which way to.
Okay, so
Stick it in.
I'm gonna do it for you and show you.
Okay.
It really, the first time I did this, my head couldn't wrap around it. So remember, Jane, remind me, are you left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Oh, okay. I thought
Sorry.
I was gonna poke it off to a left-handed problem that I many times have. Okay, so I just gonna go around, and it just came on top. My tail is on top, and I'm working.
You're there farther up. There you go.
So here's my start,
Mm-hmm.
and here's my tail.
Yeah.
So then I will take it off and put it right next to that circle.
Uh-huh. And you're going up and over. Okay.
Up and over. And then I lift, open my pliers up a little bit so it can slide through there, and it comes around. So now there's 2 of them.
Okay.
I took my pliers out and I'll put them back in
Okay.
right next to it. So it's actually touching.
Nope, it's not going it's not going the same way.
Linda, I'm ready to attach the coils to the spiral.
Okay.
Which way does the when I'm attaching it for the stem for the bail? Okay.
Okay. So oops. But take your bail and just your 24 or 26 gauge wire, just make a few wraps around there to secure it.
Okay.
And no one is going to see that. And again, you could take it off at the end, but it's just to hold it on there. So just a few tight little coils. And then come down through the center of your spiral. And as you're attaching it on, come back up, and you're just sewing through the center each time.
Should I cut off a piece? I can't work off the spool, can I?
No, because you won't be able to come through the center. So
That's
cut
what I
yourself
thought.
off about, I am guessing a foot will do it, but you might want to do 18 inches just to be on the safe side. And if you had to stop it, it wouldn't be, if you run out and had to add a new piece, it wouldn't be noticeable.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Geez, I hate it when I enlarge it like this. You can see where my tools left marks. So if those would have to be polished out. Well, I've made mine out of the brass and I like it. I'm not going to be able to attach right today to show you, because I only have the 28 gauge brass down here, and 28 is not going to do it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I muted, yeah.
Oh, you're on.
Oh, no, I'm not. Should we hammer the spiral before we start adding the loops?
Yeah, because your loops are crossing, and
Yeah,
you'll have if you're gonna hammer it while you've got it flat.
okay.
Once you attach those loops, or even do those loops, if you were to take them and do them now, you'd have to be very gentle, because where those wires are touching, they tend to break. I think you could do it on your 16, and I could do it on the 18 brass, because it feels sturdy enough to me that would take it, but it's a risk. So have you all gotten your gas bill for December, January?
Sure have.
Yep, that was surprising.
Happy New Year, huh?
Yeah. But then
Mine
who's-
doubled.
are we all getting $50, or is it just based on your, I don't know.
Well, I think it's Long Beach people too, because I'm not getting $50.
I couldn't understand that message about people getting $50 back or something. I don't know.
You guys are getting, Long Beach is, I've noticed doing a lot of really cool things anymore, so you're helping businesses that are
Yeah.
having a problem, you're helping setting up homeless stuff, so at least the press is sounding good.
Yeah.
Belinda, which gauge wire are we attaching with?
24 or 26.
Okay,
You need, that I can't attach mine because I only have 28 down here and I know 28 won't hold it. So you want some security. If you have, you could even try 22 if it's, if you can manage it, but you want to get that secure on there.
I think I'm gonna run out of wire. So if you run out.
So
before you-
you're the sewing on wire.
Yeah,
So let's say I ran out right down here. I'm at the bottom of where they're attached. I would just wrap it a couple of times around the coil, or
okay,
if you're over here, wrap it a couple times around this and the spiral, and then add a new one
okay,
and go on, carry on.
thank you.
Mhm.
My wire
As
is
I'm
pretty
looking
good.
at my slide, it'd be pretty cool if you did these in two different. So if you did like a copper and then silver where you sewed it on, would be pretty, I think, to do the two metals. And since two metals are really big now.
That's what I ended up doing, and look, it does look pretty neat,
Does
except
it?
for it's, the middle part is the silver tone.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's a matte, like aluminum, and then the outside part is kind of like a brass. Looks
Oh.
pretty.
Oh, I can't wait for us to see it.
It's hard to not let the wire get kind of wonky, like it gets kind of bent, I want to say.
Well, and I wouldn't go for really bent up, messy, but look at mine. Mine's not all that straight here.
Oh, yeah, I see that one. I have the exact, it's like a kink, like in
Like
that
here?
top one. Right.
Yeah.
I have a kink like
Yeah.
that too.
And then I took these pictures and then didn't even look at them, went ahead and finished the piece. I was just taking step pictures. Probably would have been better to look at it each place, because look at here where they're even overlapping. But when you
But
look
we're
at
the only ones who are gonna notice.
and when you're looking at the finished piece, that's just what I was gonna say. Nobody can, I can't even see that here.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal, but when you blow it up and put it on the screen, it's a big deal. It's a good thing I have good self-esteem, or I'd be crying each class. Yeah, here's it's the one I'm working on. If you can see me in the little one, not on the screen. I went ahead and was telling you, make a few extra loops. And now as I'm holding it on here, seeing how it's fitting, it looks like I made about 3 extra loops by the time, maybe even 4, by the time I get it sewn on there. So. Which for those of you that are worried about wasting wire, not a good thing.
Linda,
Mhm.
did you use the second step of your bail making pliers to do
I
the
did.
loopy loops?
Second from the
Second step.
bottom, I did, yeah.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
did that in both my sample one that you're looking at, as well as the one here that I got on my work table.
Okay, thank you.
But you can see the difference. Let me actually put this one over here, because this one is the coils, they're the same size, but and the brass, it's made with the 18 gauge, and here it's made with the 20 gauge. So on this one, my coils are going to be more obvious when it's finished.
And you leave a 1/4 of an inch at the end, you said?
Yeah, I left just a little bit, just so I can have something to sew it onto there. And then I may trim it later, depending on what it looks like when I get them all sewn on, when I get around to the end part.
And then when you go around the bale, you try to get the completion of the circle to come on top of that 1/4 of an inch.
Oh, it doesn't matter, because that 1/4 of an inch can just be, that can be undone later and wrapped a
Oh.
different way. That on my slide that's up here that I'm sharing with you, that's
Oh.
just holding it. That just 1/4 of an inch gave me a little tail, and then I just
Okay.
wrapped it a couple times to get started.
Oh, okay.
And that's what it's going to look like when you get it all done.
Hopefully.
Can't believe it's February already.
Yeah, it's gonna be March quicker than we think.
I have my conference that I do in a couple weeks, so if I survive that, I'll be good.
Is it like an artist conference
It's
or?
lace makers. So this is my 17th year doing this conference, and I used to have a partner who passed away a couple years ago. So it's pretty much all me. So the last 2 weeks are always crazy, because you have people that didn't do what they were supposed to do months ago now saying,
Yeah,
my application in, can you squeeze me in? Can you do?
gosh. Yeah,
Are you still fighting with people about masks?
No, this year pretty much said, it's up to you
That's the way to do it, yeah.
and the teacher. If your teacher requires a mask to be in that class, you have to follow what the teacher says. But the rest of it, and wear a mask if you want, and don't wear a mask if you don't want. So because I have some that are adamant they don't want to come if they can't wear their mask, and some that are equally as adamant they don't want to come if they have to wear a mask, so. And since the government isn't helping me anymore by saying, you have to, it's like, well, do what you want, I don't care.
We had at the Long Beach Playhouse it was last Saturday. We wound up having to call the police
Oh,
Oh, no.
because they're still asking, in the bar and the gallery, you don't have to wear a mask, but inside the theater, they're still asking for people, at least through the winter, to wear a mask because the actors are not masked.
yeah.
We don't have understudies, so if they get sick, then we're screwed.
Yeah.
We had a guy who wore his mask for the first act and then wouldn't put it on for the second act.
Oh, Jesus.
And the house manager came up to him and said, you know, you have to wear a mask or we're going to have to ask you to leave. And then he got belligerent and says, what are you going to do? Throw me out? And then they were holding the second act because this guy was being a pain.
Oh, my gosh.
And he started screaming and the audience started yelling at him to put his mask on. Then he got up and charged the stage.
Oh, my gosh.
The director, who was a lady, she was there, and a couple of her and a couple of patrons corralled him and got him outside. And of course, he was gone by the time the police showed up. But
Jesus.
and you know, my people are saying the executive director and all that. They're dealing with stuff that we never dealt with before COVID. People
Yeah.
have just gone absolutely nuts.
Yes, well, look at the world. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems like so many
Damn it, why isn't
like
this?
mass shootings, and I mean,
Yeah.
people just can't control their emotions or something.
And why do you think that is? What about COVID caused us to go insane? You know?
Well, maybe it's a coincidence that COVID happened. I feel like we have been going insane for a while. I don't know. And then COVID was like, I feel like, I don't know. I read a lot of science fiction. I just feel like there's some kind of like something happening in the universe that's,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I remember seeing that movie called The Happening with did anyone see that? M. Night Shyamalan? I'm gonna get off here. But the earth kind of like was getting back at humans.
Oh, wow.
And so it wasn't, I mean, there was never any kind of like thing that happened. You just saw the trees like blowing and like they were communicating, and you know, you just hear this wind and all of a sudden humans start going berserk and killing themselves. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, that's what I think is happening right now. It's not, I mean, it was weird when I first saw the movie, but now it all kind of makes more sense.
It certainly is crazy. You know, no matter what they tell you is happening on the news, it doesn't surprise me anymore, you know, because
Mm-mm.
Sadly.
yeah. It really, you know, it's like, okay, yeah.
Well, I feel lucky to live here, like in Long Beach, knock on
Yeah, knock on.
quartz.
Well, but you know, I don't let it stop me, but it still does make you pause when you think about
It
going
does.
any place, you know,
Right.
or saying anything to anybody, you know, that we're,
Yeah, right.
you
Yeah,
know,
you just never know when what's going to trigger somebody.
my husband's a big one for, like, we were coming home the other day and the guy in front of us who pulled to the side of us, his lights were out and brake lights. And my husband's a big one for letting you know. And he kept honking to get the guy, and the guy never did roll down his window. I said to him, my husband, you know, you're going to get us shot because you honk at
Right.
somebody, and, you know, where you never, and he, of course, he doesn't see that because he said, oh, I'm just trying to help him out. Let him get a ticket, you know, but it's like not everybody appreciates it.
Yeah. And the other guy might have been scared, like maybe your husband was the crazy guy. you know,
Well, he
like,
is, but that's a whole nother story.
I
Yeah,
know.
well, that's it,
No.
because you don't know, do you? You know?
Yeah.
And you don't know, it's kind of like that guy that they just caught, the guy.
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, talk
And
about
he-
anger issue.
Oh my God. And I read that whole article about his background. He's been in trouble for decades with anger issues and stuff in different states. And I'm like, oh my God, of course he's getting worse because he just keeps doing it.
Well, he got a $5 million bail, so he's going to be in jail for a while.
Right. Yeah, that's the good news, because everything that he does, it's like his violence is escalating.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good thing that they did.
But you never know who the person is that, you're standing in line behind at the grocery store or the bank.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh,
It's true. And I'm such a big believer in talking to strangers.
yes.
Because you also, I mean, on the other side of the coin, you don't know what super interesting person is standing next to you. Maybe they're like some remarkable person. And if you don't engage, you're never gonna know, so I don't know. It's a sticky wicket.
And you're right. And and it takes away I don't know, our humanity when you can't talk to people anymore. You're afraid you're going to upset somebody. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah. It's true.
It's not a good feeling, but I don't know what we're coming to. So
Wow, it looks like I made one extra loop and it's extra, but I feel like I can use that to wrap around the veil, right?
good. Yeah. Just, yeah. In fact, on mine here that you can see on the screen on the left-hand side, I got them all sewn on and there was this kind of a little gappy thing. And then I went back and sort of tightened them up a bit,
Oh, yeah, that looks good. Okay.
evened them out. Down here, you can see a bigger even gap. So once you get to this stage, then you're ready to attach your beads. So let me go on over here to the beads. So I used 24 or 26 or 28 gauge wire. I think I used 28 to sew mine on. And like I said, when I wore it a lot on our trip, but I was kind of worried about these not holding up. So I think I would go with 26 or 24 gauge. And the key thing is it's got to fit through whatever little bead you use out here. So if it's a big thick wire, it's not going to go through it. So once you get to the point you're going to secure your beads, just start someplace coiling on your coil, stick your bead on, and I put a small bead, I put size 8 beads in here, and then these other beads that I had over here. So just coil it on. I think I started here, I went out, put it on, coiled a few times till I got sorted to the middle of the circle and put on my longer bead. And because I'm running my beads horizontally, or excuse me, vertically. If you were running it horizontally, you just go ahead and put it this way, but I went vertically. I can't turn around with my wire without putting a little bead at the end. So I used a size 15 bead out here. So come up, go through the 15 and back down through your large bead. So you can, I don't think I can, over here on sort of at the between 2 and 3 o'clock position, you can see where the wire's coming out of the 15, well, up here in the wire too, and back down through the large bead. And then it coils around a few times to get to the point where the two circles are coming together. Put on another small bead and just continue the same way all the way around. You could also use, if you didn't want to use where I happen to have these beads that just matched and I thought they worked, but you could use a small metal bead in here if you wanted. In between, that would go nicely with whatever metal you've made your base out of. But while you're doing that, I promised you guys we'd go downtown for those that wanted to. So
Oh, yeah.
after my conference, so it ends on the 20th. So after the, say, 22nd, I'll be rested and back up, which is a good day for you guys, for us to look at. Would you, I think last time we went, both times we went on a Wednesday. But the weekend could also work, or another day during the week. So do you have a preference?
Any day will work for me.
So Jane's saying she could be available any day.
Any day but Tuesday.
Any day but Tuesday, okay.
What day? You're thinking at the end of the month, like the 22nd, around in there?
Yeah, it has to be at least after that, because I can't do anything till I'm done with my conference. I can't even sleep until I'm done with my conference. So probably, and then I'm teaching up in Walla Walla, Washington, so I'm going up there the 15th of March, so for about a week. So
What are you lace making again?
yeah, my lace jewelry.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I think they've got 12 people signed up, so
Wednesday or Saturday works for me.
Wednesday or Saturday, okay.
I
When-
second that, Wednesday or Saturday, Shelley.
Wednesday might be the best bet, because Saturday you get all kinds of people downtown, you know, in the jewelry area. So we might have fewer people to contend with on a Wednesday. So I will look at it, what Wednesday's good, and
Wednesday works for me.
yay. We had so much fun the last time we went.
Did you carpool when you went?
No, we take
Oh,
the
we
blue
take-
line.
Oh, so you meet and go as a group?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all met over at the Willow Street station, and we had a set time we met. We got our tickets and we got on and went downtown, and we walked over. It's a little bit of a trek. There's two areas that have supplies. So we walked over to the furthest one, and then we shopped for a while, and then we went into a couple stores, and then we went back toward the main jewelry district on Hill Street, and we had lunch at the little cafes there. And they have I don't know if those of you that weren't with us have been there before, but right behind Hill Street, they have a little alley that's got maybe a half a dozen cafes with outdoor tables. It looks like a little European community. Reminds me of eating in France, which was nice because it allowed us to go to whichever area we wanted and get whatever type food we wanted. And then we all sat at one table and ate, and then we did some more shopping and then got back on the blue line.
Well, and it's real close to Angel's Flight too. I didn't realize that until we saw it last time.
Yeah,
Is Angel Flights functional these days?
I
Or
don't know.
It was before the pandemic.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, because they I thought I read they
They were
resurrected it.
Yeah, I took my scooter group up to it before the pandemic and we went to ride it. And we actually got a tour of the mechanism. It was pretty cool.
oh, wow.
uh-huh.
I heard about that alley on, I listened to a podcast hosted by KPCC,
Uh-huh,
and it's really fun. It's called How to LA.
uh-huh.
Oh,
Anyone else hear that?
no, uh-uh.
It's a good one. And so they just go around LA, different places that might not be, like might be new for a listener. And one of them was that alley. And I thought of you guys because I think that's where we're going.
Was it, it's St. Vincent's or something like that, wasn't it? There
Yeah,
was
yeah.
some school it used to be.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But it's a cute little place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we go to the bead factory that's downtown?
We have, that's where in the past, because the last trip we made, Bead Factory wasn't here. And so I was trying to think, I know not everybody wants to go to the same stores and spend as much time. So I was trying to think we could walk over there. I'll put together a map. I'll have to make sure the places are still open, of the places that I have gone to down there. There's the Bead Factory, and then just 2 doors, I think, maybe 3 doors south of them, there's a really nice shop of all kinds of different bindings. Not a lot of beads, but they do have some beads, but really nice bindings and pieces, components that you can use. And I'll put together a map, and then we can say, okay, it's whatever time it is, let's have an hour, and then we'll all convene back here. And then that way we don't have to wait. If you want to take longer, you don't have to worry about somebody being upset with you, which is usually me worrying that I'm upsetting somebody.
Linda?
Mhm.
At the end of the loopy loops, how much do you leave before you cut the wire?
Let me go back a slide and see if we're talking about, are we like here, you're talking about this?
At the end, once you've created, the loops plus the extra loops?
Okay, have you sewn it on yet?
No.
Okay, don't cut anything till you sew it, because then when you get it, like here, I've got it sewn on, all except the last one. And I'm gonna end up cutting so that the one tail is just touching the next circle.
Oh.
And then just one tail's sticking up here. So it's hidden. So that when you look at it over here, blown up, you can see I've got just that little tail that's coming down here, and I could bend him up more. But
that's the back side?
Yeah, this is the front side. This is the back over here.
Oh, okay.
This side. But it doesn't really matter, because it's not going to show when you get it all done, but you don't want it to be obvious coming undone. But by the time you get all the beads added on it, people will be looking at the beads and not be looking at much else.
So you start the weaving by attaching it to that piece that goes up like the lollipop in reverse?
Yeah, I can't get back to the, hang on. Yeah, you do. You want to get, I don't know why it won't let me go back all the way. Oh, there we go. So I just tried it kind of right here
Mm-hmm.
to
Oh, I
secure it,
see.
and then went
Oh, okay.
round.
Okay, and you try not to cross over when you go into
Yeah,
the
try not
center?
to cross over, try to keep it nice and straight. I got like a little kink on mine here. Here it's a little loose. So again, I don't think anybody would notice, but when you've got it blown up 500% or whatever it is, you can, it's obvious.
Okay, I've got 24 and 26. Would you recommend
24.
either one? The
I
24?
would,
Oh,
if you've got the 24, I would go with as heavy as you can possibly work with.
as what?
As you can possibly work with. So like 22 may be stiff, you know, so, but 24, I think would be wise. Because you don't want it, Miriam, when you're working with it, you don't want it, the circles to move back and forth and break that wire.
Oh,
And you know me,
okay.
I'm always concerned when I wear it or somebody else wears a piece of jewelry I made, I don't want it falling apart.
Okay.
So I
And
kind
then the end of the loop goes over that lollipop that I can see on the
Yeah.
picture there. That's
yeah,
it's
gonna-
it's
it's
going
gonna-
under, but you want it over?
I just want it all consistent.
Okay.
So when I get done, I just had it sticking out here, but when I get done, this tail part will come over and set next to it. And then I'll have to do something with that end. So I'll
Oh,
either bend it up or, so for instance, on my, I don't know if you can see me on the little one. I'm playing with this because I don't have my wire to sew it on, but I took that 1/4 of an inch tail and just made a little loop, a little half circle, so it'll set in there.
oh, okay.
And then when I get all done, actually probably what I'll do is sew it on, it'll look like that. And then this one will come over the top and then I'll trim that back a bit.
Okay. So
But-
you started sewing on the last loop you made rather than the first loop. Is that by design?
It looks like I did here, but when I'm holding it up here, I'm thinking I'll just go with this one
Oh, okay.
and this one. So it doesn't matter. But you're right. It looks like what I did was started with the last loop, which is probably not smart because I can see that I've got plenty, but let's say I didn't make this quite long enough. And then I get over here and I'm short loops. So probably if I had thought about it, I would have started with the one where I'd started instead of the ending. I tell you, do as I say, not as I do on all of these projects. Because I can get you in more trouble.
And the Scotch
Uh-oh.
thing that's, 15
Oh,
to taste. Glenmorangie Signet is a blend of aged to 40 years to blah, 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 manageable 15 years. Or again, you can't put a price on that, but if you could, it would be 240.
Sounds good to me. I'll take one. I like my Manhattans, so I don't think I would use the Glenmorangie for that.
Now sign me up. I'm willing to try. I have the chimney sweep here, so I'm going to sign off. So I'll watch the video. Have fun,
Okay.
everybody.
You too.
Bye.
So how's the project coming, everybody?
Pretty good. I'm starting to add my beads.
Ooh,
Wow.
Trying to find beads that I want to add.
I found some from that were taken off of my grandma's best friends. She gave me all of her old jewelry and I've been repurposing it. It's these really beautiful glass. She died like 30 years ago, I guess. She was 90.
Oh.
And she had the best jewelry ever. So I'm using these glass beads from one of her necklaces.
That's really cool because
That is cool.
yeah, it's not only are they probably nice looking, and they're probably well made, but you're keeping that woman's memory alive. And you're
Yeah, that's what I love about, and she, you know, and actually what's really kind of cosmic, like about what you're saying, is it almost looks like it was meant to go with this because it's got brass sparkles in the glass.
Oh,
cool.
I know. And I didn't know until this minute, this is what I was going to do. So it's kind of all coming together here.
that's a good thing.
Linda,
Mhm.
when you're putting the beads on, can you go to that slide? Show me where they're weaving in.
Does that help?
Okay, so when you were saying that the original spiral that you were going to put things through there, I don't see where they're going through there.
The original spiral, I'm not following.
Yeah,
The spiral is only attaching the coils, the circles. Then you add a new
Okay.
wire, and I just wrapped it
Okay.
around up in here, and then just add your beads to your coils.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I got confused. I left space to go back into the original spiral for more than just attaching the loops.
Well, you
So
know,
it's okay.
you know what you could do actually would be interesting to put a bead in each of these circles and go back through, you know, just a thought, but that would be kind of a different look too. I don't know that then that I'd want to put all these on the outside, but it'd be kind of fun to just do it inside.
Okay.
Okay. And use as thick a wire as you can get through your 15 bead that you have on the outside of that vertical bead. If you're using that, because you want those to be pretty stable.
Now, if I used 816 on the main spiral, do I really need anything to keep it? Let me show you what, this is what I did, because it didn't go into a circle. It's more of a round triangle. So I just, let me
stop sharing and get you. Okay.
Oops,
Oh, nice.
this way.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
Yeah.
Now, do I need to, will this stay since I use 16, will this, I probably need to put a thing up here. Yeah, it didn't, I thought I couldn't get it real round, so I didn't want to put these things around because it was the wrong shape.
Right.
But I do need to do something up here to keep it all snugged up together, right?
So if you're concerned, and you can tell if, you know, if you're holding it, my 16 I think I would be okay with it, but I don't know if yours is bigger than mine. I'm pulling
Okay.
on mine, I think. But if you were concerned, you could start like at your 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock position and wrap it the way I did mine. Just
Okay,
on the side. So at that
Okay.
top part of your spiral, so
uh-huh,
the bottom part has the coils. Does that make sense?
yeah, mm-hmm,
Yeah, yeah. So just start like right above where your coils are joined and go all the way around the top part of your
okay,
spiral, doing it without attaching. So
okay,
if I go back over to the share screen, maybe I can point out. So like you're from like 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock, or maybe you're like 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
mhm,
You got your coils. So
Right.
starting right above it, I would just go right in here. Just like this without attaching coils. So just
okay,
securing it. And so you've got that design element, and then you've got your coils down here.
okay, all
I
right,
think yours is
okay,
really pretty. I want to go
thank you.
stop sharing and let's put yours back up there.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
Yeah,
And-
I thought since it's not totally round, it would look weird if I put the circles all the way around it. I liked it better this way.
So what do you guys think about doing like Jane's with earrings?
Oh,
my
yeah, 'cause
God, yes.
This is really easy. This is really lightweight, so it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, you can wear it, make
I
earrings out of
love it.
this.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I think
Yeah.
that'd be beautiful, Jane. Good
Thank you.
job. I always love seeing what you guys do. I think that's so
You know-
cool.
You know, Jane, you always kind of diss yourself. And then you come up with these fabulous, amazing alternatives that I go,
Well, thank you. But with this kind of thing, you can, the stitching, you have to do it right. And I need to I'm not a good student with the stitching.
you know what? You keep saying that, and
Claudia-
yet you do really cool stuff.
And Claudia,
Thank you.
I would add, all of you are like that. You all are so humble. And it's like, well, and then the stuff you make is phenomenal. I'm impressed with each and every one of you.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes, I think you were all cool and you all do great stuff.
And you know what, I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys in person, but I was thinking about it the other day. I am going to miss the Zoom calls, because it's just fun. And I know some of you won't join us if we're not doing Zoom, so that'll be sad. Excuse me.
Where would it be if we're not
Ed,
doing?
what is that? Saint Isidora in Los Alamitos, the Catholic church there. That's the historic.
Oh,
Oh, really? Not
Hedwig, St. Hedwig?
I'm glad you
No,
mentioned that.
it's on. Oh, well, Becky, you tell us where it's going to be.
I didn't even have you down. I didn't get the message, so I will switch, but you're planning on meeting there.
Well, Pat had asked me when I filled out the form where I wanted.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people that have said they'd like us to do it in person so I can help them, that
Yeah.
I said, I don't have a problem with that. The problem I do have is the people that only want to do it by Zoom. I hate to lose them
Yeah.
too. And I understand from Yasmin that the Zoom connection and all of that is not too great out there.
I haven't ever tried it, but I know it took a little while to figure out even what the password was. The facility is right near Los Alamitos Hospital on Catella and Reagan. And
Oh,
it's the
Yeah, well, near the corner of Catella and Los Alamitos Boulevard too.
Yep, the cute little Spanish mission looking
I was just-
church that's no longer a church. It's
okay.
and they have a social hall, lots of tables. You have to kind of get your own chairs and put your own chairs back, and there's no helper there, but they do have chairs and tables. and there is Wi-Fi. So you might be able to figure out, we could go test it out and see if you could figure out and do Zoom at the same time. Maybe.
That may be too hard for my little brain.
Yeah,
Well,
I could help. If you want to make sure everyone is included, I'm pretty good. I was
yay.
a power user at work, but
Yay.
if you want,
You're
I
right,
can
Brenda.
help. I know Ann Cupulas, the watercolor gal,
Yeah.
she does that with her other, I attended one of her other classes at the
Yeah.
art store, and she
Yeah.
does the hybrid, which
Nice.
I appreciated because I didn't really want to go.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll do whatever, but since there was a choice, I chose to stay home. I just don't like to schlep all my stuff around.
That's
I'm just
the
saying.
hard part. Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, that's what I'm thinking too, because I bring everything. Getting it in and out of the car is the
Yeah.
A
downside.
couple of people did like 3 weeks of Zoom and then a 4th week meeting in person,
Oh,
or like we could
Oh.
arrange particular days, or, you know, sort of have a show and tell at the end, or, you know, do mostly Zoom, and then, you know, when it looks like, anyway, that's a possibility too.
yeah, for you, those of you that are on here, would that work good for you to do like 3 days of 3 weeks of Zoom and then a week together? So it'd be like once a month we're together.
Oh, that sounds good. I like that.
That would help. Also,
That would work for me because I've
For
been
me,
coming from Los Angeles
Oh, yeah.
and I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind doing it like once a month.
Yeah.
for me, it helps that it's not at Cal State Long Beach.
Yes,
Yeah,
'Cause
I
the
agree.
parking is such a hassle.
that's
and
the biggest,
expensive.
yeah.
And-
Especially when you're lugging everything. It takes so
Right.
much,
Yeah.
know.
So
If,
let's-
if there's a classroom at Cal State Long Beach, or I have an alternate idea after saying this, but we live right here at in Bixby Hill. And you know, if we wanted to, like, people could meet here and park here behind the gate. And then it's just so we walk, for example, to the yoga class on
Mhm.
I mean, it's just a thought, but we also have a clubhouse here that's meant for meetings. So it's right at the campus, you know, everyone kind of, but it's behind the guard gate, so you can park in the little parking lot we have here where the clubhouse is. I mean, if you want, I could look into that.
The hardest part, I think, about meeting in unknown locations is just in case we have insurance,
Oh, right.
and that, you know, we kind of keeping things on the up and up, and we've got the agreement with these other 2 locations. The
Got
JCC
it.
is the other location too. And I
That
think
makes sense.
JCC on Fridays would also be an option. If Los Alamitos was not, the Jewish Community Center located
Oh,
on Willow
Yeah.
at Redondo, or Willow and Grand, I think.
Oh my God, let's do that. They have a lot of good parking, and I've always wanted to go there anyways. Check it out.
And do you
Yeah.
know, Becky, if they have set up so that we could do our Zoom one?
I would have to investigate. I think they are even more limited on tech stuff in the classrooms. They should have Wi-Fi. I know there's a boardroom where people have used, you know, laptops, but most of the facilities they don't even have a whiteboard in one of the rooms.
Well, why? I'm going to throw it out, and if anybody has huge objections to this, speak up. Why don't you see if you can get us once a month a classroom, either place, and we'll do 3 weeks a month Zoom, and then we'll do 1 week together
Yeah.
each month. And then we'll see where we go from that, how that works out, and if we need to expand at the next session or whatever. But that'll make the transition easier. It won't just be abrupt for those people who
Yeah.
prefer Zoom. And anybody have a problem with that?
No, that sounds great.
Oh, I like the idea.
I can do that. So it would
And I'm
be
seeing thumbs up. So,
Sounds great.
great. 4th week in April and 4th week in May.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
And I think I'll nose around and see. I think the Los Alamitos one is fairly easy to get to, and the parking is pretty good around there. It's street parking. Let me start with that. And if
Okay.
for some reason they don't like people there on Fridays, we'll
Yeah.
but it'll be sort of same time between
Yeah.
10 and 12.
Yeah, that works better, I think, for those people when they are commuting than when we have it late afternoon. Oh, Shelley, let me see what you've done.
Let me see if I can show you. So this is
Ah,
these are those fun beads here from her name was Dr. Betty. My grandma knew her through Seroptimist, and they were friends for like ever. So see how the beads have a little bit of
yeah, a
of
little
sparkle?
copper sparkle. It looks
Yeah,
like. Yeah.
it's like a lavender bead with a little sparkle.
And I do like your mixed metals. Those are nice.
I know I didn't stick to the weaving part really on this, but the hole in the beads isn't wide enough to go through twice. And I think I might just leave it with the 3.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. In fact, I think if you put too many more, it would look too
overdone.
Yeah.
This is a little better. So
Yeah.
anyways.
And I never, I mean, for those of you that are new, you haven't heard me say this before, but I really never insist that you do the project the way I did it. It's just, here's what I've come up with, take it and run with it, make it yours. It's so much more fun than making Belinda's project 20 times. So I want to just, as we're winding down here, I'm going to go back and share my screen and show you some of the links we're going to work on. So next week, we're going to make the links. And I thought it would be good. I mean, you could make, it's up to you, the chain that you're going to hang this on in all one link. But I kind of thought it was fun to just do a multitude of different links. So we will do this little link, and I did mine you're looking at, and I'll show you examples in a minute, in 18 gauge, but I have also made this in a 22 gauge and made it smaller, and it's really a delicate little chain. And I used 18 and 20 on here, and I just used some of the beads that I had used in the middle of my of the weave when I added the beads. So here's some other links, and I know you can't see these very well, but we will do a sort of a combination of these. This is another necklace I worked on. So here's the big link I showed you, made this way where my cursor is, but it's made with and here it is up in the corner, a heavier gauge and a longer neck. And again, you can make it smaller. And then we'll do some where we just got coils on the end and make connector links. And we've done this link before. So this is the one I was just showing you up close. That'll be one we'll work on. Oops, and you don't need to see how to do it right now. But then I'm going to go back over, and we'll stop sharing and go back over to my other camera and show you up close the piece itself. Okay, let me highlight myself here. Okay, so here's my piece, and here are the various links. So this is the one made with the small seed beads. And they're the same beads in there. They make just a nice different link. Here's this link that I was showing you that I think is kind of a fun link to do, and it's a very useful link. Here it is in the brass with the 18 gauge. I made a really nice necklace that I was going to share with you, that showing you all the different links other than this. And when we were in Bali, this aunt Lily, that is the aunt of the guy who is the son of the chief who runs this place my son built his house on, she kept admiring my necklace and I gave it to her. So it's kind of one of those, I regret giving it to her, but I did.
A
And
nice
then here's another link where I used the beads that I used on my pendant and just did the herringbone wrap. And that makes kind of an interesting link. So we'll do a couple of those. And then I created the finding to end it. I did very similarly to what we did as our center. So I did a spiral and just stitched it in and then just made a loop. So that's another option for you. So we will work on some different links. Here's another one that's kind of a fun link. So again, different gauges of wire, different size mandrels. So if you have a selection setting there, you'll be able to make all kinds of different sizes and shapes and looks. And I think they're kind of fun because you can't always find, or I can't always find, the right chain to go on a pendant. But if you can make your own links, then you can, the world's your oyster, so to speak. So questions on anything we've covered or done or that we're going to do? Anybody have one they want to share that they've done, finished so far? Oh, Shelley, let me highlight you. You're muted.
Sorry. I love the wrapping for I'm making this into an earring.
Oh,
And
yes.
I just have to put in the jump ring, and then I'm gonna do like a kind of like a dark colored wire on the top. I like it. I mean, it's, you know, kind of weird.
No, I think it's beautiful. I
Thank
like
you.
that. Yeah. You are
was
so
looking-
creative.
Oh, well, thanks. And you guys inspire me a
Well,
lot.
that's good. That's what we should be doing, is inspiring each other. Any others? Nobody?
Belinda, I had a question.
Yes, Miriam.
When you were talking about the upcoming project, and you were talking about the flat copper or brass,
Mhm.
would we be using the same gauge as we did for that other project where we cut out pieces from a flat
If you have
big
that,
piece
yes.
of
Yeah.
copper?
Don't go out and buy.
I think it was 0.016,
Yeah, I think that translates to like a 22,
26.
26 gauge. Is that what that is?
I think that's what I wrote down, but
If here's the test. I'm going to make earrings. So earrings, the lighter, the better. Okay. But if you wanted to make like the pendant, take it and see if it bends easily. If it bends too easily, then it's too thin.
okay.
But earrings, you're not going to bend them. And I'm just going to make them easy for you to cut and do the filing on it. So it'll just be all about the stamping with the solder.
Okay.
But if you're going to make a pendant, like my pendant is, I think it's a little over an inch. It's 1 3/4 inches. I don't want it to move, because what's happening here is we're putting the solder on the copper. If the copper bends easily, that solder will just pop off.
Oh,
Does that answer your question?
yes.
So yes, don't go out and buy new unless you're going to make something that requires heavier metal. If you're going to make earrings, what you have is perfect.
Okay, thanks.
I don't ever want you guys to have to spend more money. Not that this isn't expensive enough. I was gonna say, are you all planning on going to the gym show the end of February?
Oh, yeah.
Planning.
I swear I don't need another thing, but that won't prohibit me from spending a couple $100 down there. And then come home and say, now, where am I going to put all of this? So that I remember I have it on the next project I need to use it on.
I've told you the last time I saw you, if I die, there's like somebody who does jewelry or wants to start doing jewelry. I got everything now after all these years. They're just going to be so thrilled. I just hope my heirs don't sell it too cheap.
I every now and then I read on Facebook or something on one of the groups that somebody went into the Goodwill store and they've got, you know, fill in the blank, but some nice tool or something. And it's like, yeah, I know what happened, you know, is the owner passed away and the kids took it to the Goodwill. It just, I guess when we're gone, we won't know. Yeah.
But I know that anybody looking at all this stuff, they wouldn't realize just how much of an investment you make in all of this.
That's one of my friends, her daughter, a couple years ago decided she was too old to make jewelry and do lace. The daughter and I would have had a few words if it had been my daughter, but she went along with it. She called me and said, do you want to come and see if there's anything that you need? And I said to her, only if I can buy it from you. I'm not going to take it. So she took me through a garage where she had this really nice station set up and said, you know, this I'm going to give you, and this, you know, I'm going to give you. And I said, no, I'm buying. And she said, well, I don't know how much to charge you. So she said, make me an offer. And I made her what I thought was a generous offer. And she was blown away. She said, I talked to somebody else that was offering me like a quarter of that, you know, and I said, well, first of all, I'm not trying to rip you off, but second, I know how much this stuff cost, you know, originally. So I know what it's worth, but then I bought all her stuff and asked me where I put it. It's all sitting in my studio, just waiting to find a home. And it went there before COVID. So,
Oh.
yeah. You know, every day I have good intentions that I will clean something out or take care of something. And those intentions are still with me. Bedtime that same day.
Oh my goodness. I wonder what your sons are going to do with all your stuff when.
Oh, I know my sons will just trash it. They won't even think to call one of you. So,
well, maybe we should make a little pact.
yeah.
Here's all the people who are near and dear.
Yeah, it's sad, you know, because in fact, you know, my husband collects antiques because he's dealt with antiques for years. And I think my younger son understands the value of some of the pieces that he has, especially the art that he has. But my older son, he could care less about any of this stuff. So if the younger one's around, they may inherit a bit of money when they go to sell it. But if it's left to the older one, their whole inheritance is going in the trash.
Oh.
Some big trash bin will pull up in front. But
Well, I have a cat and everything else goes to my brother. Well, he's kind of creative. I don't know.
so are you going to leave all of your money to your cat?
My brother. But I did read, we joined AARP, well, kind of rejoined recently, and I read an article yesterday about preparing for what will happen to your pets when you pass away or when you get placed in long-term care or something. And I was like, oh my God, another thing I have to remember to do. And, but they gave great ideas, you know, about who, just make sure. We already have like 3 friends who have a key to our house specifically to take care of our cat when we're gone. So those are the 3 people that we're going to ask if they're not dead too by the time we're, I don't know.
Well, I
That's
only
another
asked,
thing. They should
I
be
only
alive.
made the comment because we just finished watching the mini series on Netflix on Gunther's Millions. It's a German Shepherd that supposedly inherited millions of dollars.
God,
I won't
that's
I
kind
won't
of
be a spoiler alert at the end, but it is the
No.
weirdest series I've watched in a long time.
gosh. Is there like an executor or
Yes.
like a
Yeah, which he's the weird one. So, but in the first installment, they talk about how under this trust, they can buy anything they want, but it has to be what Gunther wants. So they're buying a yacht because Gunther likes driving the ocean. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure Gunther knows this. You know? Sounds
Yeah,
a
right.
little fishy to me. You know? So it was. I'm not saying to watch it because there's like 6 or 8 installments, and when you get to the last one, you go, oh well, that was a waste of 6 or 8 hours. But I thought maybe you were going to have your own version of Gunther's Million.
No. We love our cat, but no, my brother gets everything. My brother has a family. He and his wife and the boys get all. I mean, my mom's on there too, but I have a feeling she might not be here at that time. So you never know, though.
You don't know. Well, let's hope none of us have to worry about it for a long time. So anyhow, I see that we're after 12:30. So I guess if you have no questions, we'll call it a week. Anybody need something answered, or
Nope, I got my answers.
you got your answers? Good.
I got my answers and I will schedule you
Thank
all
you.
again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky.
And Jeanette, you've been so quiet. How are you doing?
Oh, doing good. Just trying to work on my piece here. So
Ooh,
doing good.
wait, hang on, keep it up there. Let me highlight you. Oops.
Oh, that's so pretty.
Very good.
Just starting, that's it. Just
Oh,
working,
that
working.
is nice. You do
Thank
such
you.
lovely work.
Oh, no, I did show you what and actually maybe you guys have ideas. I did I started beading and let's see. Oops. I'm trying to see here. Okay, so I started beading this. I want to put another strand. I want to weave them together. But what's your suggestion in finally putting them all together at the end here? There'll be another beaded strand.
Wow, that's
That is beautiful, by the way.
I don't know
amazing.
what to do. I want these twisted, and then another beaded strand in there. I want 3 strands, which is all the same. It's all the same stuff we're doing. This was the twisted one I did, but this one's the square and then just the flat one.
Beautiful.
I love it. I think I saw on Amazon, I was looking for some findings. I thought I saw something that connected. Maybe it's the slide in one where you can slide it across.
I was,
Yeah.
What about
I hate
one
the
with
thickness in the back, your
Oh.
back of your neck, how thick it gets.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was trying to figure out a way to, again, I still need to do another one. So that's not so thick because I get,
So what about
I'm
that?
too fat. There's too much fat back there.
What know that thing that's like a bar with 3 little loops on it?
Yeah, that.
Yeah,
It
maybe I could
still
do
might
something.
be kind of fat though back there, right? I
Mhm.
mean, the heaviness might not be comfortable. That's a good point. You're very considerate of your customers.
What if you
Right. Well,
did-
I was wondering too that if I connected it and so that like right at the the collarbone or whatever is where they join, so that through the back of the neck, it's just one solid piece versus 3 pieces.
Oh,
that's
a good
what I
idea.
was just gonna suggest, yeah, because then you could use something like the slide in that we used before, or you could use
Mhm.
a ribbon clamp, or, and that would make it less bulky behind your neck.
Mhm.
So,
Well,
but
and
those are
then you
beautiful.
could-
Hold those 3 up again. I want to see those up
Well,
close.
right now there's just 2. And then I want to do another string of beads so that it would be 3 twisted together.
That is
And-
so
But
beautiful.
So
it's all
pretty.
the
Oh my
herringbone
God.
stitch. It's
I
the
love-
herringbone stitch we did, which this is my twisted herringbone. This is the flat herringbone, and then this is just the double herringbone.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So
I love the
all the herringbones
variation. It's so
do.
pretty.
What if you
So-
thought about it in the opposite way? What if you connect it with some sort of a pendant in the front of your neck instead?
Oh, and then you could just hang it. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah,
That could solve the problem right there.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
You girls are
So
so
still
sweet.
working on it. Still got more to do, but that's what I've been playing with.
Nice. Really pretty.
Really nice.
Really pretty.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I will say goodbye. Have a good
Bye,
week.
everybody.
Have a
Bye.
good week, everyone.
Don't work too hard.
Thank you.
Enjoy.